Okay, everyone, we'll make a start now. Apologies for the delayed response. So, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, depending on where you are in the world. So welcome everyone to today's webinar. Just to let you know, this session will be recorded and shared later on, just for any of your colleagues that can't make it. Also, as I mentioned just now, anytime anyone wants to unmute themselves to ask a question or interrupt, feel free. Otherwise, if you use the chat, we'll have a Q&A session right at the end and cover any questions that anyone's got. But like I say, fairly informal. Feel free to just unmute yourselves and shout out. So yeah, like I say, welcome everyone to today's webinar. My name is Thomas Fraser-Bacon. I'm the marketing director both at Allseas Technologies and Vieunite Pro. We've got a good attendance on today's webinar, so I think most of you already know the value of attending today's session. I think the vast majority of attendees will be resellers and integrators. Perhaps we might have a few end users on here. I hope you find today's session useful. Obviously, the main is kind of understanding how you can add an additional solution that isn't a traditional digital signage or large format display solution to your portfolio, obviously to increase revenue and to win new types of opportunities and projects. So without any further ado, we'll get stuck in. So one point to make initially is the digital signage market is continuing to grow and is predicted and forecast to continue to grow. One kind of result of that is obviously over the last few years, with the ever increasing number of screens in public spaces, the attention span and the dwell time is naturally decreasing. You've got all these kind of shop front displays and you can't really turn anywhere these days without seeing a screen. So Vieunite Pro directly addresses that problem. So to kind of introduce the concept of Vieunite Pro, it allows you to obviously enhance a public space with relevant and tailored world-class art, design and photography in a very cost-effective way. This can elevate or reinforce a brand, give a competitive advantage, raise morale for staff in corporate settings, essentially all the benefits of having curated artwork in any public setting. But it also, the more important thing and the more powerful thing is it also allows for a new display medium. So obviously the artwork can be used to capture the attention and kind of disarm an audience. Then the attention garnered by the artwork can then be converted to deliver either promotional messaging to customers or internal communications, as I mentioned earlier, to staff in corporate settings. That way, the audience is more kind of receptive and engaged. It's being shown beautiful content with value. So the communication isn't just one way. They're not just being bombarded by adverts or promotional messages, which obviously people are becoming more and more kind of numb to in general. So this distinguishes Vieunite Pro from a typical kind of digital signage solution. So for the next part, I'm going to hand over to my colleague Sonny to introduce what is Vieunite Pro.
Thanks, Tom. That's appreciated. So my name's Sonny Mander. I head up business development here at Vieunite Pro. And, as Tom was saying, we're inundated by screen technology and I've got my smartphone here, right? So we know what that's all about. And the thing about the Vieunite Pro, what makes it quite special, of course, is that, it's essentially a digital art display canvas. And, of course, you can play artwork through it, but business communications through this kind of technology, the way it looks, aesthetically, it doesn't look like a traditional screen. If behind us, you can see traditional digital signage screens at the back, and you may be able to make out just about that. The panels themselves, of course, are quite reflective, but if you look at, of course, the canvas, it's got that lovely finish. Now, it comes in three parts, essentially. You've got the hardware, you've got the software, which is the Vieunite Pro portal, and of course, you've got the content, Vieunite Art Library, which Benedict, our coach, will go into a lot of detail later on. Now, the hardware itself is quite interesting. I mean, as you can see here, and I will demonstrate, you've got the white bezel, right, which comes with the canvas, but essentially the frame, as you can see, clicks off, and it's magnetic, okay? So it clips back in like that, and the colors that the frames actually come in are black, as you can see here. You've got pine as well. You've got walnut, and of course you've got white as well. A mount is included with the actual frame. It does need power. That's quite important. Some people will ask the question, does it need power? It does. It comes with a plug. It comes with the frame included. It has the white bezel. It has the beautiful matte screen finish. And of course, you know, what's really special about it is our texture accurate display technology. Now, what is that? What does that mean? It just means that when artwork's played screen, that we're turning pixels into brushstrokes. Essentially, it's very accurate. If you were putting a painting through it, and of course we will show you that later, you know, it really leaps out at you. But what that inadvertently does is, because the technology behind it is quite specialist to the canvas, when you're playing marketing communications or, you know, content that you've created, you know, normally people make it through Photoshop or something like that. The canvas, you know, really makes that content look fantastic, whether it's moving video or even, of course, JPEG as well. You get a 3-year manufacturer guarantee with it. Of course, it's commercial grade components, and the panel itself, you know, is made to land on the screen flush. And I don't know if you can see this, but the digital signage screens that we've got at the back, they're slightly elevated from the wall, aren't they? Well, think about the canvas. It's made to be flush against the wall. So, you know, if you're looking to sell it, of course, into the hospitality sector, hotels, corporate, or even the healthcare space, that's quite important, because a traditional digital signage screen won't be as flush, and you may be able to see at the back of it. And that's another benefit of course, having the canvas. Breaking it down, you've also got, of course, the software that we touched on as well. You've got the hardware technology, we've got the artwork, but the CMS portal is really what it's about as well. And I will demonstrate that to you. Okay, now
hang on, just bear with us 1 second. Yeah. Just go back here.
Yeah.
Not sure that it's being. Oh, there we go.
Yeah,
yeah, we can see.
I think everybody can see that, can't they?
I believe so.
Okay. Yeah, wonderful. Okay. Now, just to be clear, guys, in terms of the canvas, once the canvas is set up, it's set up to the Vieunite Pro app, which is on your phone. So the app would be downloaded on your phone. The app acts as an ignition key to ignite the Wi-Fi module in the canvas. So if you've got, say, 3 of these or 5 of these set up on site, they would essentially be activated by the Bluetooth app in the phone. The Wi-Fi module is activated in the canvas. It connects to the cloud. Now, all content has to go through this Vieunite Pro portal. So this is the CMS essentially. And as you can see, this left bit here where it says dashboard is where you would actually add your content. And let me just kind of run this through for you so you kind of have a good idea. The dashboard section is where you would upload your own content, and these are albums, and I will come back to that. And then the discover section is where you've got the various pieces of artwork, which are highlighted by artists here. We've got various playlists as well. And this is quite interesting because these playlists have been pre-made. And of course, Ben will go through that a lot later on. But these are all playlists ready to go that you can put straight onto the canvas. So if you've got a business customer that goes, where do I start? Where do I begin? Well, look, the content's already here. It's ready to go. And we've done that all for you. We're talking more than 8,000 pieces of content here that have been curated, of course, for the platform. We've even got more than that. So there's plenty of content to go through in terms of artwork. Going back to the dashboard section, if I was to go into the album section here, now, what we've got playing is Hospitality Tech Expo Portrait 1. What we can do, and I'm going to show this in real time. Right now, we've got this content playing. Now, if I just click onto the Manage Devices section, and this is quite important because if I click on this here, and can you see this bit here where it says Change Settings? Okay, so essentially, if I was to click on that, you've got the volume bit there. You won't need to really use it, but it's there if you need it, right? As you can see, you can change orientation from this side here. So if you put the canvas on the wall, you're able to change the orientation, of course, within the portal itself. I'm actually going to change the brightness here very quickly, and I'm going to put it back just so you can see what happens.
What about if we put it all the way down to 0?
Yeah. Let's do that.
And we can kind of.
And I'm going to just press confirm. And if you look at the screen, everybody, There you go.
And then if you put it all the way to the maximum,
and I'm going to
just
put
to
it
see
to the
the
maximum
difference.
as well, just so you can see the difference.
Hopefully you can see this coming through, guys.
Yeah, I'll just.
Yep.
Can you see that? So this is all done through the portal essentially. If I go back here again, and I'm just going to put it back to what it was before, and we tend to put it around the middle bit because the idea, of course, with the canvas is that you want it to display content in a realistic setting, having artwork on there so it looks realistic. I mean, if you put it too bright, when we find that in the middle, it just works best. Now, going back to this section here, I've got to just add on this because these are all new things that we're kicking into play here. With the add schedule section, in the next month or so, you will be able to take various albums, playlists essentially, and you'll be able to schedule them on different days and different times. So that's really quite powerful because as you'll know, if it's a business and they need to schedule content at different times, that's a really big deal. So that's coming into play in the next 4 weeks. We're also going to have multiple login user capability. So you'll have a master login user capability. And of course, on top of that, the master user can allocate other users. So that's all coming as well. Now, just kind of moving away from this, what I'm going to try and do in real time is create an album. All right, so we're creating an album and I'm going to just put in here image 1 and confirm that. Now, what I'm doing here, guys, is if I just go into add artwork. Now, if I was to add from library, this would essentially add in all content that I've already put into the system. So that's really good because obviously it means that you don't have to duplicate uploads. Whatever you've put in there previously will show in the library section. But what we're doing now is we're putting in new content. So if I just go into upload media, as you can see, it supports JPEG, PNG, MP4, AVI, and MOV files if you're a Mac user. So just going to click on this now, and I'm just going to select that, and we're going to open that. Right, so we're doing all this. This is live, by the way, so I just want to make that very clear. All right, and it's all happening in real time. Okay, so that's uploaded. Fantastic, brilliant. Okay, let's confirm that. Wonderful. So as you can see, the image is in there. And by the way, it does happen a lot quicker than that. So let's not worry about that. Now we're going to publish that straight to the canvas. I'm going to my canvas here. Now this is quite important because you can see that there's other canvases listed, but they're all offline. Okay. So I'm going to the bottom one here. We're going to click on that. I'm going to confirm now. If you just look at the canvas there, that will essentially, there we go. And that's changed in real time. Now, it doesn't matter where you are in the world, doesn't matter what country you're in, if your canvases are set up on site, you can do exactly the same thing from anywhere in the world, and that's the beauty of it. And as you can see, it's pretty straightforward to do as well, and you can see the image there, and that's quite beautiful. Now, if I go back to what was there before, and we're just going to go back to the album there, publish the text, we go right to the bottom. This album, of course, it's just got more moving video, so it just takes a few more seconds to upload, but it will, and that'll come. Yep, that's happening now, so we'll just leave that in the background. But essentially, you're able. There you go. It's all happened. So the previous album that was there is back on now. It's quite important to also understand that once the content's on the canvas, even if you were to essentially, log out or you were to lose Wi-Fi, the content would remain on the canvas. So it's got onboard memory, which allowed the content to run. So it's foolproof there. As long as it's plugged in, there's no problems there, essentially. But you need to be, of course, connected to the Wi-Fi to change the content through the CMS. Is that all right? Now, I'm just wondering if there's any questions at this stage, if anyone has got any questions.
Quick look in the chat.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, thanks for that, John. Yeah, I think there was just a bit of a lag in the uploading
that's fine.
process.
Okay, so Tom, that's a question there in terms of the API.
John, I'm going to be covering this a little bit later in the product roadmap. So yeah, we'll cover that in just a little while in terms of integration.
Yeah, wonderful. Okay, that's brilliant.
Yeah, any questions, guys? Like I say, just feel free to unmute yourself or use the chat. Is it possible to create a wall with several canvases? Yes. Yes. I mean, and then it's just a case of kind of synchronizing the content. So it's definitely possible. Best thing there, Ollie, is kind of reach out to Sonny. His contact details will be at the end.
Yeah,
we can kind of talk you through how that could be possible.
And guys, in terms of all of that, the contact details will be at the end. Just please send me an email. I'll send everything through in terms of, literature, everything that you need. I think we're good on that now, aren't we now, Tommy? I think we're
Absolutely.
ready for Ben here. Okay, so ladies and gents, thanks for that. And just moving on now, I want to introduce our cultural director, takes care of course, of the artwork on the platform. It's Benedict. So Benedict, over to you, my friend.
Thank you very much, Sunny. So, hello everybody. It's thank you very much for your attention today. It's great to meet you all online. So, what we offer at Vieunite is meaningful engagement through context, built on exclusive cultural authority and deep curatorial relationships. What this enables our users to do is source and share images, trusting in their legality and their ethical basis, and crucially to offer visual content that gives little glimmers of joy, but that also rewards sustained attention. This is about flexibility for the end user and the ability for them to be as ambitious as they want to be with their displays in terms of communicating exactly what they want to in the right way that makes people feel met, welcomed, and at their ease. Something I want to emphasize right at the very top of this short presentation on the library is that it's not just a collection of paintings. There's a breadth of content. So as you can see on this first slide, we've got everything in the library from Japanese prints to classic art. There's a Van Gogh down there, second from the left on the bottom row. We've got animated artworks, one of Chameleon's top right, which is actually a video file, architectural photography, contemporary art, and images of objects like the painted skateboard below left, or posters like the one of the small child with a fun-looking toy in the foreground. So it's a very, very broad library. This isn't just about sharing recognized masterpieces. It's also about making little discoveries. And of course, all of that is structured for you so that you are, if you like, chaperoned through this exclusive collection. As you go, you should be able to find everything you need to very easily in the library. Let's have a look at the next slide, please. Thank you. We've built a few exclusive collections, and we can offer our users access to those collections through our partnerships. We've got some amazing cultural partners that we work with, the National Galleries of Scotland. My favourite, gosh, I probably shouldn't say that one being recorded, the Historic Collection of Modern Italian Art. I'm completely professionally impartial. That was the professional mask slipped there. A bit of my personality came through. So the Historic Collection of Modern Italian Art and more. So we've got a great partnership with the Royal Brighton Pavilion, which gives us access to images which are all about interior design and are much more sort of orientated in that kind of way. On the bottom row, you can see on the left, probably the most famous painting in the National Galleries of Scotland collection, known as the Skating Minister. In the middle, an Amedeo Modigliani painting from the Historic Collection, and we've got masterworks by household names like Henri Matisse, Monet, and more. We've got, as well as those exclusive partnerships, we are able to, through our expertise, not just mine, but the colleagues that I have in the curatorial department, access to incredible databases like the National Gallery of Art in Washington, Art Institute of Chicago, SMK Denmark, which is where the Henri Matisse came from. And every single asset that we find, we make sure that we have the legal right to share it. It is fully attributed, so it's full provenance and authenticity. We give the authorship details. There's a description. If you want to use the library to learn about art, it would work in that way as well. Because what we're interested in doing is sharing storied culture. And you can't share that kind of storied culture without, of course, sharing the story behind the image as well. That's really crucial too. So every single asset is described and attributed. Let's have a look at the next slide, please. We are the sole digital repository for, I think you've gone on 2 there, Thomas. Oh. I was going to say a little bit about about a particular relationship that we've got with an artist. So stay on that slide, Thomas, and I'll just carry on. We are the sole digital repository for the estate of an acclaimed photographer called Anthony Webb. Now, this collection is the authoritative record of his work, with profits dedicated to homelessness charities, and that demonstrates Vieunite's commitment to ethical preservation and social causes. I think something that I want you all to understand is that the artists that we work with, and there are many of them, benefit directly from that relationship. It is an opportunity for them to carry on creating their work, whether that's photographs, making paintings, sculptures, animations, graphic design, whatever, and then receive an ongoing passive revenue from that through the library. It is really important to me that the artists that we work with and the estates that we work with, the galleries that we work with, benefit from our involvement. It's a two-way street, very much a creative community, which is the focus of this slide. As well as our featured artists, we have a growing number of artists who maintain their own accounts. So it's not just about the curatorial team acting as intermediaries. Vieunite and the Vieunite Library is your direct portal to the art world, and it's something that you can share directly with an audience. It's all about the spirit of connection and presence. You can see examples of these on this screen. We've got 26 featured artists whose work we help to editorialize through podcasts and blogging activity, and they're based all over the world: UK, Germany, Argentina, New Zealand, Latin America, many in the UK. Let's have a look at the next slide, please. So as I said, it's not just me who is building the library. There's a team of 5 of us, including the senior librarians, Jane Elliott, who's got a master's in art history and a background in cataloguing for major auction houses like Christie's, and she's in the photograph there, which shows also one of our featured artists, Richard Batty, when he came to visit us in the curation offices, with one of his images on textura canvas in that screen. And we're in regular contact with those 26 featured artists, and that helps them to connect with a worldwide audience. But additionally, in addition to those senior curatorial team, we've got other staff that look after the sort of data handling and labeling. So we possess the research strength to find absolutely anything that you might need. And at some of our tiers of subscription for Vieunite Pro, you not only get access to the library and the playlists and all of the exclusive content, you also get access to the 5 people that make up the curatorial team. And we'd be very happy to have a conversation with users about what they need and help to find assets to communicate their message. Let's have a look at the next slide, please. We've got a really rich network of relationships, and this is vital for both excellence and relevance. I have emphasized the visual art content of the library so far in this presentation, but we also work very closely with, for instance, the Australian art agency Artshine, and through them recently we've sourced seasonal artwork and surface pattern design, and that's brought over 300 seasonal works into the library, and you can see those on the screen here: Valentine's Day images, Halloween images, Christmas images. This collection allows us to find those assets, but again also to contextualize that work through conversation with the creatives behind the vision. The library is constantly growing, and we will have a library in excess of 10,000 images within a year. Let's move on to the next slide. So that's the end of my whistle-stop tour through the Vieunite Art Library. Joyful images really spark attention, and that's good for everyone. It's good for the audience, it's good for the artist, it's good for the reseller. So thank you very much for listening. I'm going to hand over now to Sunny, who I think is going to say a little bit more about some of our recent case studies, but I want to leave you with this thought, that what we do at Vieunite is a cure for digital fatigue. Thank you.
Thanks, Ben.
Thanks, Ben. That's much appreciated. And yeah, I mean, I'd kind of reiterate that, guys. I mean, the idea here, of course, is it's not just about the business communication piece, but it's the amazing pieces of artwork that we've actually got in the canvas, and the fact that Ben and his team have done a lot of work on it in terms of the curation piece. There's a lot of care that goes into making sure that artists are paid as well. So you know, it's all about that kind of total economy essentially. And so it's not just about, you know, putting random artwork on a canvas. There's a lot of thinking behind it, a lot of thinking that's gone behind that. So so yeah, that's fantastic. Thanks for that, Ben. That's appreciated. In terms of recent, I mean, we've had a couple of case studies which I'm going to mention. And the first one, of course, is with Meta. So we all know Meta in London, essentially previous name Facebook. Now, what actually happened here, and of course, Ben and his team were, you know, they were involved with this in quite a heavy way. Meta had a requirement to take a canvas, and they essentially wanted it to have pieces of photography on it, and 30 plus pieces of photography were created. The artist was Anthony Webb. They actually requested that all the images were centered around London. Ironically, you know, Facebook, they didn't want anyone's face in the images, which was quite interesting. But you know, Ben went away and with his team, and they curated these beautiful pieces of photography by Anthony Webb, and they loved it. So essentially, the canvas went up, of course, in their London office. The feedback's been really strong. You know, the team have actually come back and said, look, you know, it kind of enhances the mood of the office. It's boosted creativity and, of course, ambience as well. Conversations have been had about other canvases for different reasons. This canvas primarily is to display the artwork. They asked, of course, that there was no lead showing, so they actually got involved. I mean, CBRE sorry, manages the building, so they were heavily involved in terms of getting the screen installed. We had a conversation with those guys to make sure it was done in the correct way. So everything really went smoothly. We had some feedback from Emily as well, head of digital strategies at Meta, and of course, you know, you can see there. She said it's revolutionized how they engage with their teams. They love the fact that they've got a fantastic blend of art, technology, and communication. And the fact that, of course, you know, that it's creating a conversation in the office. But like I said, you know, we're still in touch with them as well. With the conversation potentially is about maybe taking a few more later down the line. Moving on.
I think it's a great, just to interject, I think it's great to obviously have a big brand like Meta to kind of show that they're using this solution. But I think it's just a really good case study for corporate spaces. You know, not most corporate spaces won't have a budget that Meta have, but luckily, as I kind of referenced at the very start, this is a very kind of cost efficient way of bringing in this very high value artwork into these kind of corporate settings, which have a multitude of different values for the staff, really.
And to add on from that as well, Tom, because we're talking about corporate, and this is perfect case study for corporate clients, and a lot of you are resellers talking to corporate customers. What we're finding with the canvas is that you're able to put it in that office space, right? So if you take any normal office reception area where everyone's working, you don't really have an opportunity to put what you would say digital signage, you know, in an office, right? Because it just doesn't look like the screen's there. But when you put this canvas on a pillar, and we've seen this happen, and it's such a powerful way to communicate to staff. Now, the biggest pain point that we're seeing and feedback we're getting from a lot of resellers is the communication piece for the office. So, you know, they might send, you know, you send an email, you want people to know what's happening. You don't know if everyone's got the email. So the canvas is fantastic to communicate with staff on site. It really kind of sorts out that internal communication piece, and it really brings it home. And, you know, you think about any kind of messaging that the company may have, a visit that might be happening, it can be displayed on the canvas. And when those messages have been discarded, it just changes to artwork. So it lifts the mood of the staff in the building. You're able to effectively communicate to the staff members, and it's just a fantastic way to bring those messages home as a business. Anything to add on that, Tom? Or
no, that's covered everything, I think.
The next one I'll add to this is quite interesting. So this is very much you know, about, you know, clients in the hotel space. If you've got customers in the hotel space, restaurant space, hospitality space, This case study really kind of brings things home. In partnership with our essentially audiovisual reseller Pro AV, an installation was done with the Holiday Inn Hotel in Telford. Now this was quite interesting because they actually had a look at the canvas. They came into this office here, and Pro AV came in, brought their customer in from the Holiday Inn side. It was the operations director, and they were after a solution where essentially they could communicate with their visiting customers, but in a very subtle way. As you can see from that image, it's quite interesting that what they were after were screen technology that they could use in the male and female washroom area that looked quite subtle, but they also wanted something for the lobby area as well. So this was quite interesting because you can't really, you can't really put traditional digital signage in that kind of washroom space. And I think a lot of us will understand that a lot of these high-end hotels, especially even restaurants, if you go to like Dishoom, anywhere like that, they'll have really, really nice washroom spaces, right? But they're also a very good way to communicate to customers. So what they found, of course, was when the canvas were installed, was that it solved a problem because the operation director kept, printing paper, laminating things and sticking it on the wall. It was just a big problem. So instantly the canvas, resolved that problem in that he was able to, kind of quickly just, to take all the content that they wanted to upload, use the Pro Portal through his mobile phone, which you can do. And then, there you go. It just made his life a lot easier. The key thing that they did was, of course, combining curated art playlists with the hotel ads. So they ran they're still running now, a Christmas promotion. And the conversation with David, the operations director, was that since the canvas was installed, engagement and, the selling of the tickets for the Christmas event gone up 50%. And that's, it's a bit of a no-brainer. People are there. You can communicate so easily in that kind of space. Off the back of that installation, the hotels agreed to take more canvases for another hotel site next door, but also they're looking to take a few more canvases for the lobby area, and we'll come on this later. The 55-inch canvas is coming in Q1. They've agreed to take one as well in the lobby for that. And can I just add as well, the canvas can be used as a wayfinding tool. So we also had some feedback from the hotel that they still want some more canvases outside function rooms. So when there's corporate events on, they can essentially tell, everybody the event's in here. If there's a wedding, they can again change that content. And when everybody's left and the event's done with, they can flip it back to the artwork, right?
A great example of how multifunctional it can be.
It's amazing because you're in the lobby, you're walking through, events not happening in function room 1 and 2, but it's all done with, but then you flip it back to the artwork and it's just something else, right? And it's fantastic for the guests. So it just makes the whole thing, a beautiful experience. As you can see, we've got testimonial there from David, and of course all the resellers watching. I will send you an email. We've got a fantastic video interview as well with David on his thoughts about how the canvas has really changed their site, and not just for visiting guests, but how they communicate as well, their messaging as well. And I think also, Tom, we've got some quotes, haven't we?
Yeah, we have. So, this is obviously, Sonny's already mentioned Pro AV being one of our reseller partners. Obviously, this is a relatively new type of solution. So, it's kind of, adopting it is, you might think, okay, what's the opportunity here? What's the advantage? I'm not going to read these out, but this is just a couple of examples of testimonials that we've had from some of our reseller partners so far. But in essence, basically, what a lot of the feedback we're getting is obviously because it's not a traditional digital signage solution, it opens up new doors for different projects, but it's a brand new way to re-engage with existing customers. It's not just, oh, have you seen our outdoor screen? Have you seen our touch screen? Have you seen this screen? Have you seen that screen? It's a completely different kind of proposition because it's not just a screen. Even if you look at just the hardware itself, as Sonny's kind of referenced, it's not a typical advertising display, even if you just looked at the hardware. But when you consider obviously the software and the content and the art library, as I say, it's a completely different proposition which can open up new opportunities and kind of get your foot into new doors that you wouldn't otherwise be able to. So that's just a couple of quotes that we've got there. The next thing that we want to cover is the actual support that we can provide our partners, our reseller partners.
And I mean, that's quite important as well, guys. I mean, there's so much support we can give you. I mean, 100%, especially as a lot of you are of course, resellers tuning in. I mean, commercially, technical after sales, you'll know, of course, from All C that we're pretty hot on that. You know, follow-up is absolutely paramount. Sometimes with new technologies, there's a concern, you know, well, what's going to happen once the customer's bought the product, right? What happens after that? You've got nothing to worry about there because we've got a technical team here. I'm here for you as well every step of the way. I like the term hand holding. I think when something's new, that's what you need initially, not just for yourself, but your team needs that as well. So I'm on hand, our technical team's on hand. You know, Tom's here as well with the marketing team as well for that support element. And it's anything that you might need. I mean, you might need, you know, some documentation. You may have a conversation happening with your customer, and you might need to loop me in. I'm here for that. You know, we're here to support you every step of the way. Stock and logistics are not a problem. We hold stock here in our Birmingham warehouse. If you need to drop ship anywhere across the UK, not a problem. We can do that for you. Should a demo unit be required for one of your customers, we will supply that and make it happen. And I think it's really important to also reiterate, and this happened, of course, with Pro AV. They came into the office with the customer, and they were able to look at the canvas, you know, and that was it. That was the decision made, really. They were like, we really like that and we want it. And I think you'd agree that when you see the product, it makes a lot more sense, you know. So if you need a demo, we're on hand for that. And just to add, you know, we're in the Birmingham site here. Some of you may already be aware that the Allsea is going to have we're moving into a new building, which is a lot larger. That's going to be happening from come on down, you know, spend some time in the building, you know. So you're more than welcome to pop by. But we're there to give you that support. And just in terms of what the future holds.
Yep. So I can take over a little bit here.
Yeah, go for it, Tom. Yeah.
So just to kind of give an idea of what we've got in the pipeline, what we've got kind of upcoming. So I'll start by actually handing this back over to Ben briefly, just to talk about the art library and how that is a kind of continually expanding asset. So Ben, sorry, you're muted. Brilliant.
He'll come back. Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
You should be able to hear me now.
Okay, yeah, we can hear you now. Yes, coming
That's
through
grand.
Strongly, Ben. If you want to kick that off again, yeah.
So, yes, as Thomas has intimated, we are constantly growing the art library, and that is a really interesting and rich process. We do it in several different ways. We do it in a sort of structured way by identifying a collection that we want to work with and that we think brings something new. So an example of that might be the Munch Museum, which enabled us to bring in a collection of a very rich collection from a specialist single artist institution of Edvard Munch. That's quite a narrow application. More broadly, we're able to target very large national collections like SMK Denmark that brings in the whole breadth of modern art that we can. So we do it in that very sort of structured way. We find a database, not just an art database. It might be Library of Congress, for instance, which have got an incredibly rich collection of photographs covering American history. In fact, I'll pull out one concrete example from that, which are, if you're familiar at all with the library, you might have seen a lot of roadside Americana images, the sort of thing you might see in a diner or in a motel, that sort of fiberglass signage that was all over the States in the 60s, 70s and 80s of like giant hamburgers or space rockets and things like that. We found over 300 of those images, which we were able to incorporate into our library, which is, obviously adds a very particular flavor. As we add it, we then have to then go back and look at the playlists again and refresh those. So there's a kind of cycle there. But then there's also things which crop up because we are told that they're needed for a particular campaign or by an end user. And that is, for me, incredibly valuable. Because if you're working, or somebody that you work with as a reseller has got a campaign that they want to do something with, to find the images for, and it's not in the library, then that is absolutely golden feedback for me and my team. We will use that and go and find those assets for you. We relish that challenge. I mentioned earlier on the colleagues that I work with within the senior team, which is 3 of us. There's me, Jane, who I mentioned, and Alwyn. There's 2 PhDs between us. We all know our way around a library. We're all very adept at sourcing images and making sure that it is all legal and ethical in its sourcing, and that we're able to pass it on to you without any risk at all. So that kind of diligence is absolutely core to what we offer. There's an example of the kind of demand we get like that. We could have talked a little bit, we haven't, about the work we did with Crisis. So we've got some of our screens in their premises, or did have for a period of time, and they wanted to be able to talk about Italian fashion in one of their stores, and in order to do that we needed to develop some assets in the library that weren't there. My team and I, Italian street fashion is a very particular request. Can you imagine that coming through? If you've got anything in the library which talks about Italian street fashion, it's a very narrow request. We did have some images that might have passed muster, but we want it to fit. It should be like going to a tailor to get a suit made to measure. So we spent some time, we found some incredible images of Italian graffiti and street art in Italy and incorporated those into the library. So, those kinds of challenges are wonderful for us to be able to meet, because when we do that work, not only do we satisfy the immediate client, it also brings richness and granularity into the library. We also have artists that reach out to us and say, can you please work with me and share my work? And I'm always delighted when that happens. We've got new artists joining all the time. Michael Isles is in the process of being onboarded as a new featured artist. At the moment, we've got 26. The numbers slowly going up, but we've also got artist users who want to come in and maintain their own accounts. So it's all about that kind of relationship. It's all about communication, whether that's communication with the artists, with the art world, or with the end user. And I would love it if any of you've got specific questions about the art library or specific needs you want to be served, then please reach out. Drop Sunny a line, drop Sunny a message, and if there's something that I can get involved with, it will be my pleasure to meet you and talk more.
Brilliant, thanks Ben, really appreciate that. Just on the library itself as well, we are in the 2026, we are going to be moving forward with an open integration strategy. So we're going to be making the art library accessible for other CMS platforms to integrate, so it can be used with third-party software, and obviously by extension third-party hardware as well, because really as great as our hardware is, and as much as we believe in it, obviously the biggest asset in the overall concept is using artwork, using content of high value to engage an audience. So that's what we're going to be moving forward with that in the new year. In terms of hardware, we've got a couple of new screens in development at the moment. One includes a 55-inch 4K version, which will also feature a HDMI input, which our current version doesn't. Obviously, again, that can then be connected to third-party PCs and players, and obviously then, again, by extension, use third-party software. We also have a 33-inch square format digital canvas in development as well, for 2 reasons. One, on the artwork side, obviously a lot of the artwork in our all of the artwork in our library is obviously formatted to a kind of 16:9 or 9:16 aspect ratio. There's a lot of artwork out there that would fit a lot nicer into a square aspect ratio. So that's one reason. Another reason is obviously the impact. As again, our Textura digital canvas, does quite often get mistaken when it's displaying painting, for example. It quite often gets mistaken for a real painting. Not so much obviously when it's displaying adverts, but it's the issue is it's still a kind of 16:9 screen. Again, with a square display, it's more immersive in that sense, because it could more easily be a real painting rather than a screen displaying artwork. So that's what we've kind of got planned for the next stages in terms of software, hardware. Obviously, we're going to be continuing to develop the actual Pro portal again based on any feedback from partners or end users. But that kind of gives you a flavour of kind of what's coming really. So the final part here is what to do next. So what actions obviously we recommend you guys take to kind of move things forward. The obvious one is obviously a website listing. That's kind of a first step just to have something to reference back to. As I've kind of referenced a few times, this is a very new and unique type of solution. So chances are if you just list it on your website and then kind of sit back and want to watch the orders roll in, that's not really what's going to happen. It is a necessary kind of first step though, as I say, if any other kind of communication that you have, to have something to kind of reference back to on your own website. Likewise, social media promotion, again, on its own, probably is going to be relatively ineffective, but combined with everything else, it should be quite engaging. Again, something different for your audience to see. Email campaigns, we can help with that. We can provide a template. We can create something bespoke for you guys. If you need us to even send it out, if you don't have your own mailing software, we can do that. So yeah, that's something I'd strongly encourage. As I mentioned quite near the start, whatever email shots that you normally send out, if seeing something like this is, oh, what's that? That's a bit different. That's just not another screen. So it can really kind of re-engage a lot of customers. So we can help. We can definitely help on that side of things. The next one on the list is having a showroom model or a unit. Again, if any of you got your own showroom, please let us know. Obviously, we'd love to have the Textura in the showroom displaying the artwork, and we can even help you again put a specific playlist together. If you needed to help kind of create graphics for the backdrop of the actual showroom, we can help with that. Just let us know. Or if it's just a demo unit, you don't necessarily have a showroom, you just want something to show your customers, obviously we can provide a demo unit as well. The next one on there is quite an important one. Any exhibitions or events that any of you guys are attending or plan to attend, please let us know. One thing we've had a lot of anecdotal feedback on, and we've experienced ourselves earlier this year at ISE, this product is very good at drawing people in, which is obviously great in terms of proof of concept for the actual real life application for it. But in terms of events and exhibitions, just again, speaking from my own personal experience, on our stand at ISE this year, we had quite large, bright displays. Anyone who's been to ISE will know that every hall's filled with, the biggest, brightest, most vibrant displays, all sorts of shapes and sizes. You got all sorts of LED sculptures and all that kind of stuff. And I can honestly say that the Vieunite screens, the Texturas, really drew the biggest crowd on our stand. And there was a constant crowd around that area the entire show. So it really can draw people in. And even if they don't end up kind of purchasing the product, you've got them. It's a great hook. So please do consider that. The next one on the list, maybe it's an obvious one, but as I say, you could be doing all these things, but the most powerful way, and the way that the vast majority of our sales have come through, is kind of that customer engagement. Personally, the calling or meeting with a customer to introduce this product to them, because again, it's you need that passion, you need that kind of that way of explaining to them, rather than just, here's another product that I want to sell to you. They really need to kind of understand the proposition. So I'd really strongly recommend that wherever possible, as I say, to either verbally talk to your customers, either on phone or video call, or if possible in person. If they can see the product, it's very powerful. And then that kind of brings me on to the last point, really, to book a visit to our showroom. As Sonny referenced earlier, the Meta project would have only happened because a physical visit to the showroom. Obviously, the partner brought the end user here. You're all welcome to bring your customers to our showroom, whether it's our one in Birmingham or our one in Ostend in Belgium. We have the product there as well, to see the product in all its glory. That really is what kind of sells the solution. I always joke that every meeting that we have in this room that we're in now, whether it's or not, we have to start by talking about the Textura, because otherwise the whole meeting, that people just are so distracted. Again, there's much bigger, brighter screens in here. Every screen that we've got in here is brighter. Most of the screens we've got in here are bigger, but this is the one that garners the most attention. People will just look at it and they're fixed to it, and they're not listening to anything you're saying. So we get that out the way and talk about this first, so that we can then kind of start talking about other things as well, because it does capture so much attention. So I would very much strongly encourage everyone to reach out to Sonny, whether it's booking a meeting just for yourself to come in and see the product, understand the software in a little bit more detail, get stuck in and get your hands on, or whether it's bringing a client here for a potential opportunity. Please make use of the resources available.
Yeah, and can I just add to that, guys? I mean, especially a lot of you are resellers, and you're dealing with businesses, and these are your customers. Just think about the whole kind of you may have an existing project where you're already putting in, kind of LED or LCD, and what we're finding is that the Vieunite canvas. I mean, if you've got a wider project and you've got kind of LCD screens indoors and LEDs outdoor, and then you've got a section of a building where you can see these canvases, it can be added on to an existing project. There's spaces where this would go where other screens will not go. And of course, Tom mentioned earlier, it does need that reach out. It does need customers to be educated. It's part of your consultative sales piece, essentially. This is what it's all about, and I'm here to support you with that. So don't think you're kind of alone with any of that, because it's a new product in the market. It really is an exciting product as well, in terms of. But what we find is people do need to, they need more information. That's going to be PDF, conversation, video calls, and if you need to loop me in at any point, I'm here to do that. So that's not a problem. I think we may have some questions as well, I think.
Yeah. So that kind of concludes everything, to be honest, guys. So we will move on to the questions and answers. So I will go through the questions on the chat. Any questions that anybody's got, please feel free to add to the chat, or again, just unmute yourself and give us a shout. Just shout out any questions you've got. So
power lead there, which is
so the power lead length
2 meters.
It's 2 meters, Debbie. And another thing to mention on the power lead is it's very flat. So in most cases, the power cable can be chased into the wall. Again, especially on the B2B side of things, we can help with the installation if necessary, but obviously the vast majority of our partners have the facility, have those resources and facilities themselves to do that. If it's not possible to chase into the wall, obviously trunking can be used, and as I say, it's a very, very thin, flat power cable. So that's that can be quite helpful.
And we've got an approved extension if you'd require that to go into the ceiling. We can help with that as well. It's not a problem.
Yeah, so we can let you know, or we can provide a USB-C extension that's approved, as Sonny mentioned. Ollie, do you have French support and French software version for end users? We don't have a French software version at present. If you did need to communicate on the commercial side of things, we do have French-speaking colleagues in our European office in Belgium. Otherwise, it would be in English through Sonny. But in terms of the software, it's only available in English at the moment.
It's totally random. And I will say, I've had customers in Italy, also, in Europe. We've even translated the brochure. If you need anything like that, it's not even a problem. I mean, that video we did with David from Holiday, and that was translated in Italian for a customer. So, we'll go beyond, depending on what's needed. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Victor, we need Romero Brito's artwork in the library.
Romero Brito.
I'm not sure if that really Ben.
Yeah, so I think that is vibrant key.
Oh, we've lost your audio, I think, there, Ben.
It's made him think. That's what it is.
Mona Lisa Cat, is that a piece of Romero's work? I think I know the work. Very nice. It's very colourful work. Of course, if you know the artist, I'd love an introduction. Drop me a line and we'll take that forward.
That's it.
Just on the same note, Gregory has mentioned you've got a collection you'd like to introduce. Absolutely.
Yeah, let's have a look.
Gregory, please feel free to send that over, and yeah, that'll be forwarded on to Ben. Yeah, but we're always open to new artist partnerships. John, will you supply the marketing collateral images? Yeah, so what we'll do, guys, anyone who's on this call will follow up with an email that includes the recording of the session, the PowerPoint that we used, and all of our marketing material assets as well. Our custom frame dimension specifications available in diagram. You might need to elaborate on that a little bit.
I can send that over,
John. But yeah, basically, if you need a technical drawing of our current model, we can. I think that's what you're asking. If it's not, John, if you elaborate, we can answer a little bit more. So yeah, you can take that one if you want, mate.
Are there any specific in-store caveats we need to? Not really. I think the big thing is, like Tom mentioned, you'll need to run piping if there's an external plug. A lot of installations have a recess in the back of the wall, just to make use of that. PoE has come up. That's a question that's come up. It's not PoE compatible, but it's being looked at for further later iterations of the canvas for the 27-inch and I think the 33. But it's not something that we can do right now. I'm not saying that if you used an adapter it wouldn't work, but that's not something that we've tested properly. We had a go, but yeah, it does need the mains power to go, and then you're pretty much off to the races, really.
Brilliant. Gregory has also asked, how do you accommodate artwork that is beyond the range of 9:16 or 16:9 aspect ratio? So we've done this in a few different ways. I don't know, Ben, if you want to just mention this, because obviously we've got the RBSA pieces that didn't want any cropping and things like that. So
yeah. So if we are working with a partner institution, we have to follow their guidance on what would be acceptable. So some museums and institutional data, collections would say you cannot crop our work at all. We won't share the work with you if you do. If that's the case, then we float it. Most of the galleries, etc., that we work with are happy for us to crop into it. So we crop to the 16:9. So there's a bit of a mix there, but I think what's more interesting to me is how the individual artists that we work with, the creatives themselves, deal with that same issue. And there are a small number that make work for this specific ratio. I think that's going to become more common because it is such a dominant ratio in the sort of image culture of our age. But it is still unusual for a photographer to work to that ratio. And they take their own sort of creative approach to it. So they will either expand an image using some of the newer tools that are available in Adobe Photoshop, or they'll crop into it. And that's very much up to them. But going forward with the API, of course, what we're going to be doing is much more powerful than that. We'll have the assets, the images, the videos uploaded in their original ratio, the ratio that the artist created them, and then have the crop as a kind of child associated with the parent asset. So you'll be able to see the artwork in the library via the API in its original dimensions, and then select the crop that works best for the frame that you're working with. And of course, we have to do that as we develop different ratios of our own Textura canvas.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks for that, Ben. So just to clarify, Debbie Bolly's mentioned on the chat that we will be increasing the power cable length to 3 meters. But again, if a longer power cable is needed, either a USB-C extension that we recommend can be used, or obviously just a mains power extension. John, so I understand now. So if you wanted to make a custom frame, then by all means we can share a detailed technical drawing of just the screen without the wooden frame. So that shouldn't be a problem.
Just a question there from Debbie. I'll answer that. Product. So it looks like product can be purchased from other places. What reasons do we give our clients why they should purchase from us? What's a warranty? Now, this is a really important question, because Vieunite, you've got Vieunite Home and you've got Vieunite Pro. Now, Vieunite Home is essentially a canvas that can, and we sell that from our website. You know, if customers want to buy that for their home, content's uploaded to the mobile phone, right? So if you want to put your family pictures on there, you can do that. The Vieunite Pro is only available from us as a manufacturer to the reseller. You cannot buy that anywhere. You cannot buy it on the website. You can't go through anybody. You have to go through a reseller. So Debbie, if your customers would have to come to you directly, and we would supply you, and that's it. And the other key driver to remember here, the other key thing is that the Vieunite Pro has its own CMS portal, which will allow you to have multiple canvases. You can use them, you can have those canvases globally. So in terms of what it does, in terms of power, the Vieunite Home just does, it can't accommodate that. And also if you're a hotel site, if you're a business and you've got multiple canvases, having an app is very cumbersome, as you can imagine. So with the Vieunite Pro CMS portal, you can use it through iPad, desktop, you can use it on your smartphone, and it is just pretty much ready to go. It can just take more load, essentially. So just remember that. We'll supply to you, and that's it. So that's really clear differences. 3-year manufacturer's guarantee. If there's a problem with the product, we'll replace it. We'll just replace it out. The real power here, and the really great thing to remember, is that we've just started the journey. Okay, the market is no way near saturated. If you start introducing this product to your customers, you've got the level up. You know, you've upped the ante here, because no one's doing it. And we've made sure we're here to work with you guys, work with the resellers for you to sell it on. And we're not looking to sell this directly to end users at all. That's just not going to happen. So yeah, just to make that kind of clear on that, guys. Yeah.
Brilliant. There is one last question, it looks like. Ben, I don't know if you want to take this one. What do you do if the frame itself is also part of the artwork?
Yeah. Yeah, I can take this. I love this question. It's a real challenge. So the image that was on the screen just there before it changed, actually before now, was a scan of a transparency, and in that case, which is this is a little bit like what I'm being asked here, which is, if you've got a scan of a transparency, 35mm transparency, we're traveling back in time, aren't we? Some of us can remember them. Yes. The way that's digitized, it's taken out of the casing and scanned, and so you can see the kind of bleed around the edge. And what we did with those images, we decided to incorporate it as part of the digital asset, because it frames it. Another equivalent would be a medieval altarpiece, which is a painted object. We do have several of those in the library, and there it's a photograph of an object, you know, that is a painting. So those are kind of approaches. I think something else we're going to be able to do when we've got the API is have different images of the same object in correspondence with each other. So you'll be able to see that they're part of the same thing, and that will enable us to show the image an image in installation if that's meaningful. And it isn't for some art, but for an awful lot it is. And then the unframed image, and then maybe a detail as well as the crops. So it's horses for courses. It's got to be right, hasn't it? When you're dealing with the cultural assets, you've got to get it right.
Absolutely. Brilliant. Well, yeah, I think that covers everything, guys. I really appreciate everyone's time. I know we've run over a little bit today. We started a few minutes late, but really appreciate everyone's engagement and attendance. I think that I love it when there's lots of questions. It just kind of shows how kind of really truly engaged everyone is, and creates it a lot more, makes it a lot more interactive. So yeah, thanks for anyone asking questions. The details that are on screen at the moment, we've got a phone number, and also I put the main email address and also Sunny's email address as well. But yeah, as I say, we'll be sending out an email to all the attendees. But if you need any information at all, please feel free to reach out either to our main mailbox or to Sunny directly. And whatever it's related to, Sunny can kind of can go through Sunny. But yeah, Sunny's your man.
And if you don't get in touch with me, guys, don't worry. I'll give you a call. It's absolutely fine. But it's been lovely to connect today. Absolutely brilliant. So we're going to connect. We'll connect. We'll get together. Any other questions? I'll come back to you on email and answer those questions. But we're here to support you. We're here for the journey, and it's been wonderful having you here.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, lots of people on the chat saying thank you and how valuable it's been and all that. So really hope everyone's found today's session useful. So yeah, join us for the next one.
Thanks,
and
guys.
as I say, reach out with any questions. Thanks everyone.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Enjoy the day.
Have a lovely day.
Thanks. Bye.
Take care,
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.